What's going on, everybody? The Diehard MMA Podcast was filmed live and exclusively on odds.com. So if you missed the live show, click the link below. It'll take you over to odds.com where you can watch the exclusive replay where we go over UFC 255 and all the betting action, our favorite spots with special guest Matt Holt from US Integrities. Thank you very much. Share this link out, and we'll see you guys over on odds.com. Luis Cosce taking on Sasha Palatnikov. I'm not saying that right. So we all remember the Cosce brothers, right? Luis Cosce is 7. Oh, there you go. Nailed it. Thank you. So Luis Cosce, Dana White Contender Series guy. These two brothers came in, their team alpha male, kind of halftime training members, and they just absolutely destroyed their opponents on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. And I've got big hopes for both of them. Luis, in my opinion, is the A side. We always talk about, sibling pairs and stuff like that. There's one that just seems to be a little bit better than the other one always. I think Luis is the A side on these brothers here, but there's a lot of time for them to really prove themselves. Both of them seem to be UFC caliber, in my opinion. He's got high-level wrestling, powerful strikes, heavy hands, 100% finish rate. I mean, this guy's 7-fight career is just a highlight reel. And he's coming in here against Sasha, who fights out of Hong Kong, doesn't have great takedown defense. And I've seen him make some serious, egregious mistakes on the mat. He's a brawler that gives up bad positions as soon as he's on the floor. He does have good dirty boxing range whenever he's in there close. He's got some nasty elbows, and he does have some vicious ground and pound if he ends up on top of you. But he has been knocked out twice with this 5-2 record. This is all Cosce, in my opinion, Matt. What do you think of this one?
So I thought that originally, but you have to give Palatnikov a little bit of credit here. One of his two losses was against Mounir Lazzez, who we saw look tremendous in his UFC debut, coming off a scorcher. I think it was over the summer where he beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Al Hassan was I think minus 300 in that range favorite against Lazzez, who was making his pro debut at the time. So, let's give some credit to Palatnikov then, because that's a pretty impressive win, and thus you can excuse that loss. The one thing that makes me nervous about laying the price here is, first of all, we can excuse the one loss for Palatnikov in his last 6 fights, basically, because we know that opponent now is really good. And he's going to enjoy about a 3.5 inch height advantage here, a big reach advantage. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to use it, but I don't like betting against guys who are bigger, taller, longer, potentially naturally stronger. Against the guy coming in, making his pro debut, his UFC debut, we've seen some people melt under the bright lights of a real UFC card before, and the fact that you're going to make your pro debut on a pay-per-view card nonetheless, I agree that Cosce should get it done here, but there's something about Palatnikov that gives me a little bit of pause, and I'm willing to excuse that one loss to Lazzez. And if you are, granted, the rest of the competition is really weak, but he did take care of them, and he is coming off a blowout first-round knockout, although his opponent was 5-6, so we could probably throw that one out as well. This one's going to end up being a pass for me.
I got you. Okay. I can totally see that. I can totally understand that. Honestly, I feel like this guy's kind of a perfect matchup for Cosce, though. I mean, you mentioned the height and reach advantage, and normally speaking, I am on that side. Guys, statistically, when they've got that height advantage, they've got that reach advantage, especially if they know how to use it, they just have a higher win percentage. It's, there's weight classes for a reason, and if you can have that advantage, it makes a difference. But in this spot, like I said, there's a hole in the grappling game of Sasha, and Cosce is a monster wrestler. I think that height advantage is going to play against him because Cosce is going to have no problem getting in on those legs. And I know we talked about Lazzez. I'm a huge fan of that guy. We actually ended up being on that one. We snagged him against when he pulled that big upset for his UFC debut. So I know all about Lazzez. But I almost feel like Sasha's a bit chinny, and that's another spot where Cosce just has this unreal next level power. It's probably too wide. it's probably a spot where he's getting a little overhyped coming in, but I also think this is a perfect opponent for him to just get another highlight reel finish on. I actually ended up parlaying Cosce with someone later on in the card as one of my favorite spots on the night. I've got a big 2-leg parlay that it's not going to close until way late in the evening, so everyone's going to have to sit tight and stick around to see what the other leg of that parlay is.
The other thing that's interesting about both Cosce brothers is, and many people may not remember, but I see you have the odds up behind you so you could look at it, is they were both underdogs, I believe, on their Dana White Contender Series fights. So an underdog against a similarly matched opponent, suddenly a minus 400 favorite. It seems like a little bit of a jump. I know they were both amazing that night. I just think that's a big jump in odds.
I can absolutely understand it. I understand that angle, and you know what? Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me. All he's got to do is get the win for me here with this parlay. So, value be damned, I guess, in this spot. Hopefully he comes through and he's the monster I hope he is.